This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, a local business owner turned a childhood game into a way of life. We'll show you Fargo's pinball kingpin.
Get your hard hats ready. We look into an NDSU residence hall preparing for a long-awaited makeover.
Dragon fans give back by trading in their red and black. See how hoopsters are using assists to raise awareness.
But first, find out how NDSU is revolutionizing its restrooms. Welcome to Campus News. I'm Tyrell Philly.
And I'm Betsy Harmson.
Lavatory, latrine, loo. No matter how you say it, everyone knows what you mean.
But for some students, restroom can also mean safe space. Reporter Emma Vottenstall shows us NDSU's trans-friendly toilets.
For most people, a bathroom is just a place where you go to take care of business. But for some members of the LGBTQ community, finding a place where they can feel safe and comfortable while doing so can be a challenge. It is here at the NDSU STEM building where the gender-neutral bathrooms find their home. Gender-neutral restrooms are not a new thing in campuses across the nation, but here at NDSU, they are becoming talked about more and more.
But I think more than anything, it's just allowing people to be comfortable in who they are and feeling safe and being able to go into a restroom, doing what you do in a restroom, and knowing that there won't be a problem with it.
These restrooms are not restricted to only the trans community. Anyone who has the urge can use these restrooms, regardless of what they identify with. Students have seen the implementation of these restrooms as a positive thing.
No, I think I haven't heard anything negative.
For many students, the fact that these bathrooms exist doesn't faze them at all.
I think it's kind of a good thing to have. Also, it makes other people feel comfortable if they feel like they need to use that.
I'm aware of them. They don't really bother me, mostly because I just don't use them and go to other buildings.
Many see it as a natural progression for NDSU.
So I think it really means a lot to the trans community to know that there's bathrooms here that are gender neutral and that you don't have to go into a bathroom that has been assigned a certain sex or gender.
NDSU has been working for many years to create a safe and welcoming environment, and the gender-neutral bathrooms are just the latest step. With photographer Tyrell Philly, Emma Vottenstall, Campus News.
NDSU has more than 20 gender-neutral restrooms on campus, with many of them being in the dorm buildings.
4 Minnesota schools are churning out a ton of Peace Corps volunteers. 2015's rankings by the Peace Corps found the 4 Minnesota colleges on the list provided over 100 graduates to the program that helps people in underdeveloped areas of the world. The University of Minnesota came in at the number 3 spot among all colleges and universities ranked, with a total of 59 graduates serving. For small colleges, Macalester College provided 17 volunteers, making it 3rd in the category. Right behind it was Carleton College and its 13 volunteers. The U of M Duluth made the rankings for the first time as a mid-sized college and came in at number 20 with 14 alumni serving. 2015 saw a 40-year high for volunteers coming to the Peace Corps.
The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater's chancellor is backtracking after she accused 2 students of posting a racist blackface picture on social media. In reality, the students were wearing exfoliating face masks. Chancellor Beverly Koppler said in a message that the post was hurtful and destructive to our campus community. The picture was sent on Snapchat. The students responded saying the picture wasn't intended to be racist, but that it was just a facial. The chancellor defended her reaction and said many multicultural and non-traditional students on Whitewater's campus have felt victimized by racial slurs and microaggressions. NDSU plans for a massive renovation project of one of its oldest dorms.
This renovation is slated to be NDSU's most costly dorm makeover to date. Reporter Levi Last shows us the before.
Built in the 1930s, Churchill Hall at NDSU has become outdated as it lacks many modern accessibility features and proper ventilation.
People ask me all the time back home, what dorm do you live in? And I say Churchill, and they are surprised that they are still putting people in Churchill. So it's got a good story to it.
NDSU's large, expanding, and state-of-the-art campus is getting some much-needed modifications for students living the dorm life. The university has announced plans to disburse $10 million to renovate historic Churchill Hall. The hall has multiple issues concerning student living conditions, as the basement has become unusable by today's construction standards.
Yeah, the cockroaches in the basement are kind of gross, but whatever.
Despite the issues with Churchill Hall, some students are still happy to call it home.
We got bigger rooms and we got nice tall ceilings, so a lot of the other dorms are a lot smaller.
The renovations will bring the entire building up to code and allow more bedrooms than the current building is capable of supporting. While NDSU plans to modify the hall to current standards, they plan to keep the traditional aesthetic motif of a historic building. Levi Lass, Campus News.
The renovations are scheduled for January of next year.
A handwritten note sparked an evacuation at the University of North Dakota's new medical building and several neighboring buildings. A construction worker discovered the note in the bathroom of the medical building. UND Police Sergeant Danny Weigel says officers were sent to the school around 3 p.m. after reports of a bomb threat came in. Construction workers then evacuated the medical building. The police brought in units from the Grand Forks Air Force Base and the Grand Forks Regional Bomb Squad to search for bombs in the medical building. Investigators found no bombs. Weigel says the police are investigating in hopes of finding the source of the note.
Researchers at NDSU are looking to create more uses for corn. Reporter Timur Sati gives us the inside scoop.
NDSU researchers Kosef Kollenbach and Bonnie Kopp are getting their project called Clean the Cluck Up line up to present their research for the Innovation Challenge at NDSU.
We've been working with what's called supercritical carbon dioxide extraction and corn, and so our project kind of just came through trial and error, and we discovered that inside of corn there are things called carotenoids.
Bonnie believes it might have a great impact on the corn market.
The impact of our project, it could open up a market for corn gluten meal, and also could be a good thing for the wet millers to have at their plant if they want to increase revenue of their corn gluten meal product.
The wet milling facility at Wahpeton gave them the corn gluten sample for the research purpose. The corn gluten meal has a yellow color and can be used as a food color. She says it will help the growing corn industry.
For corn processors' co-products, then we can in turn create more value for corn because corn is becoming a pretty big industry in North Dakota. So I guess that's where we saw the value, especially because the extract that we're going to be creating is valuable now, and it grows in value year by year. So
they use CO2, which is safe and completely removes the solvent from the sample, because solvent is not good for food purpose. They are trying to get more of the color output by using different methods.
Our proposal is to use an enzyme to break down those proteins, and it releases the colors, and in doing so that we can extract more color, more carotenoids, and more value out of this project.
Use of CO2 might make North Dakota and rest of the world a better and a safer place in regards to making food color. With photographer Annie Pearson, Timur Sati, Campus News.
Kallenbach says the growing corn industry might take advantage of these students' research to expand the industry. North Dakota State University professors can take a deep breath after the university says it has no intentions of making any layoffs. NDSU recently announced the university would be cutting $6.4 million from its budget within the next 2 years. Although university employees are safe, the budget cuts will likely affect NDSU's ability to spend on research. Provost Beth Ingram told employees about the plan. She warned it could affect NDSU's chance at competing for federal grants, decrease the number of courses, and reduce the amount of administrative support for faculty. Half of the university's cuts will come from holding off on the Grand Challenge Research Initiative. The other half will come from hiring delays, examining operating expenses such as travel, and foregoing other research activities for a year. An assistant professor at NDSU is working to find a cure to devastating diseases.
His research is being used to help fight prostate and pancreatic cancer. Alyssa Eisness gives us a look inside the lab.
When you hear the word cancer, you know it's a word that can affect so many lives. With very difficult treatments, the road can be long and hard.
I've had both parents affected by cancer to one extent or another.
Meet John Wilkinson, an assistant professor at NDSU. Wilkinson started researching AIDS as an undergraduate. He then switched his major to cancer research, where now he's been studying for 15 years.
And I just started sort of trying to understand the biology of cancer, realized that Cancer is not one disease. It's 1,000 different kinds of diseases, and each one is different.
He hopes that the discoveries in the lab will change the future of chemotherapy.
We don't study all cancers out there. There are two that we primarily focus on. One is prostate cancer. That's probably where we spent most of our efforts in the last 10 years or so. The other is a relatively recent development for the lab is pancreatic cancer. There we go.
Chemotherapy has an uncertain outcome and future.
I don't know that we're ever going to cure cancer by treating this one particular protein's activity. But the hope is that we can maybe further cripple cancer cells so that other more conventional approaches like chemotherapy, radiation, for example, become more effective. It's running from the top down to the bottom. If we sit here long enough, you can see that blue dye go all the way down to the bottom.
As cancer has touched his life, he hopes to see that his work can also touch the lives of others. With photographer Maddie Hansen, Alyssa Eidsness, Campus News.
Wilkinson works with graduate students in his fight against cancer.
A University of North Dakota astrophysicist helped confirm Albert Einstein's 100-year-old gravitational waves prediction. Einstein said space and time are not fixed. Wayne Barkhouse is a member of the Deep Space Search for Dark Energy. Barkhouse says this discovery is going to change how we think about the universe. The Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory scientists say the black holes were 29 and 36 times the mass of the Sun. The observatory recorded the waves used for the confirmation of the prediction recorded on September 14, 2015. The black holes occurred 1.3 billion years ago. Scientists will use this research to look into the scientific mysteries of the universe.
Men and women are strapping on stilettos and strutting their stuff to raise awareness for violence against women. Many women will experience sexual or physical violence in their lifetime. At Comstock Memorial Union at MSU Moorhead, students come together every year for an event called Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. It's meant to help bring awareness to the problem. This year's walk takes place tomorrow night from 3 to 5 p.m. You can catch the full story on this year's event in an upcoming edition of Campus News.
The children of two University of Minnesota alumni made a science museum in their home. They're using their love of science to give back. 10-year-old Maria and 9-year-old Miller Williams are huge science and nature enthusiasts who have created an at-home science museum for their community to see. Maria and Miller share a bedroom in order to make room for their collection that includes bones, rocks, and pelts. They charge $2 for admission and have taken in $125. They've donated half of their earnings to their favorite science museum, the U's Bell Museum of Natural History. They are some of the U's youngest donors. The young scientists' donations earn them a private tour of the museum.
A play that has been published in 48 languages and performed in 140 countries has made its way to MSUM. The title of the play is The Vagina Monologues. The terminology may make some people uncomfortable, but the performers say that's the point. The play by Eve Ensler is based on interviews she had with 200 women about their views and the stories on the subject. The performance is surrounded around a group of young women who read and interpret the women's views and stories. The performance helped raise money for women's support centers.
Students and teachers in area colleges are trying out a new way of studying.
The new classroom model features lectures not from the teacher, but rather from the students. Reporter Tyler Jensen goes inside to show us these flipped classrooms.
In Dr. Nathan Clark's African history class at MSUM, students are getting the opportunity to show off their ability to teach their fellow students. The class features a new model called Flipped Classroom, where the teacher isn't the one giving the in-class lessons. Instead, Dr. Clark sends out his lecture via YouTube or other sources on the web to the students who watch it and do their readings before class, where they then teach their fellow students to make sure everyone's on the same page. Dr. Clark says the method is meant to increase students' participation in class.
The flipped model has students being part of the class and being active parts of the class, not just sitting in their desks and listening to me pontificate for 45 minutes or an hour.
Once the groups have discussed the lesson, they take a quiz, followed by a lecture led by 2 of their classmates, who are decided by volunteer. Students said they enjoyed the model and the differences from a traditional setting.
It makes me more involved with the class. I'm able to have the experience of being a professor and having the ability to talk to the students themselves and create and more critically analyze the situations that we are discussing in class.
However, Dr. Clark adds with this type of class, there is more responsibility on the student to be prepared.
It requires students to do a lot of work before class. And that might be sort of one of the challenges, changing the sort of idea about what is required for a class.
For now, he says he is happy with the program and looks forward to using it more. With photographer Maddie Hansen, Tyler Jensen, Campus News.
Currently, both MSUM and Concordia use the flipped classroom model.
Valentine's Day is usually all about roses and chocolate, but for some MSUM students, it's about more. It's about the kindness of making others happy. Volunteer students brought happiness for residents at Eventide by making 195 Valentine's Day cards. Maddie Kramer, an organizer for the event, says this is the first year for an event like this at MSUM. She says it's a way for the students to give a few minutes back to the community. Students hope these cards made the residents feel appreciated and know they're not forgotten. MSUM is looking at how education can be made better by looking at STEM research. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Though the field is dominated by males, STEM researchers are trying to eliminate prejudices in the classroom. Haley Gerlach reports.
You can't formulate, so you just go lazy version, I'm confused.
Roni Ellingson says she has overcome much adversity when it came to her own education. This adversity has inspired her to fight for other students who struggle with the same issues in the classroom.
It really is about looking at the context and the student, and these are things that people have been talking about for time immemorial. Like, it's not rocket science. What's true is there's a question.
Ronnie is very passionate about her work and is eager for what her presentations bring to communities like Fargo Moorhead. MSUM student Ann Hallsgrove thinks STEM could make a huge impact not only in our community, but on her personally.
I liked how she acknowledged that a student isn't just a student. They have other things going on in their life, and they can really, if you can apply the things that they're learning in the classroom to their life, they'll take away a lot more.
STEM research is being used in some classrooms already. The end goal is for it to be used in all classrooms to help further education for students. With photographer Michael Schumer, Haley Gerlach, Campus News.
Ellingson is a STEM professor at Morgan State University in Maryland.
And now we turn it over to Haley Foster for a look at this week's sports. Haley, I've heard of a blackout, a redout, a whiteout, but it sounds like there was a different vibe at a recent Dragons game.
That's right, Tyrell. A lot of people showed up, and it was for a good cause. While the MSUM women's basketball team played an important conference game Friday night, the goal of the evening was to raise awareness for a disease that affects 1 in 8 women. Reporter Nicole Strobel explains why fans packed the Nimzig Fieldhouse in pink.
From the jerseys to the signs and to the cheerleaders' pom-poms, the color of the night was pink, and the reason was Go Pink Night. Go Pink was the main event of the evening when the women's basketball team took on Bemidji State University. While most of the focus for the team was finishing the season strong, bringing awareness and raising money for a disease that has an impact on nearly every family was the ultimate goal of the night. For the 9th straight year for the Dragons Go Pink event, students and fans were able to support the event by buying t-shirts or bidding on the silent auction. Go Pink has been held by MSUM to bring support to research for breast cancer, along with raising funds for the Go Pink Scholarship. Dragons senior forward Heather Stracy says, "There's a little bit more motivation for the game when you get to play for something like Go Pink."
It means a lot. We support, the Go Pink every year, and it's really fun and exciting to get out there and play with the pink jerseys and playing that we're playing for something.
With fans wearing their pink shirts and sweaters, cheering on the Dragons, the bigger picture of the game was hard to miss. Nicole Strobel, Campus News.
Natalie Shields and Ashley Lentz received the Go Pink Scholarship this year. 5 members of the University of North Dakota men's hockey team are making an impact on and off the ice. The National Collegiate Hockey Conference announced Matt Herinke, Cam Johnson, Austin Pagansky, Tucker Pullman, and Johnny Simonson have all made the NCHC Academic All-Conference team. The NCHC Academic team acknowledges student athletes who have achieved a 3.0 cumulative grade point average or better. Student athletes must complete at least 1 year at their current university to be recognized. The NCHC Scholar Athlete of the Year is set to be announced at the NCHC Awards celebration March 17th in Minneapolis. Another month, another award for a University of North Dakota hockey player. The National Collegiate Hockey Conference named Brock Besser Co-Rookie of the Month for January. He shares the award with St. Cloud State University's Mikey Essemont. Besser had 10 points in just 6 games throughout January and leads all freshmen in scoring. The NCHC also named Besser Rookie of the Week after he scored both game-winning goals in the Fighting Hawks sweep of Western Michigan. Besser's 18 goals are the third most by a freshman in UND history, behind current NHL superstars TJ Oshie and Jonathan Toews. A member of the University of South California's football team has overcome great obstacles and is being recognized as a champion. USC long snapper Jake Olson became the 8th winner of the Uplifting Athletes Rare Disease Champion Award. The award recognizes a player annually who has realized his or her potential to be a lasting influence in the rare disease community. Olson was born with retinoblastoma, a cancer of the eyes. He lost his eyesight completely when he was just 12 years old. Olson won a public online vote against 5 other finalists. More than 13,000 people voted. An MSUM men's basketball player has reached the 1,000-point mark. This milestone is one for the ages. Reporter Tanner Robinson takes a look at his accomplishments.
The Minnesota State University Moorhead men's basketball team has enjoyed a solid performance so far this year, and junior guard Aaron Lean has been a key component of the Dragons' success. Lean has now scored 1,000 career points, an accomplishment he didn't even know he broke until after a game against the Augustana University Vikings earlier this season. He says that it was good to achieve that milestone, but says he still felt a little empty inside.
It is kind of disappointing because it came in a loss, but at the same time it was nice to have that at home instead of on the road because I had a lot of family and friends at that game.
Lean's basketball career started as early as 4th grade when he played with eventual MSUM teammate Tanner Kretschmann. He was influenced heavily to play basketball by his older brothers, especially his oldest brother, Eric.
He taught me so much about the game. Almost everything I know has come from him.
When it came time for Lean to go to college, he explains that he picked MSUM because of its coaching staff and the team's ability to be a Division II powerhouse. A memorable time during his career at MSUM was last season, when he was a part of the team that reached the Elite Eight for the first time in school history.
It's a season that I'll never forget. It's by far the most successful team I've ever been part of.
Lean's successes now shape him as a better player, and he says that he will continue to push forward as he intends to finish his collegiate basketball career as a Dragon. With photographer Kaylee Omang, Tanner Robinson, Campus News Sports.
Lean is averaging 10.9 points per game this season. Wow, that must be one talented family. I remember how earlier this season his dad actually won a car during one of the halftime competitions.
That is a talented family. I wish I was a part of the Leans. Thanks, Haley.
Pinball has been around since the 30s. We've seen these machines all our lives, but for a few Fargo residents, the game is more than just lights and a silver ball.
I'll show you how a Concordia professor helped save some of these games from going to auction after a local pinball arcade went out of business, and in the process helped spark a new business of nostalgia and community. For Bill Brooks, his love for pinball started when he was just a kid.
What got me into it was growing up with pinball. You know, we'd go out to eat and there was pinball machines everywhere. Every restaurant had them. It seemed like truck stops had them. You know, you'd be on a road trip, you'd stop, and I'd have to play a pinball machine.
But from there,
I said, I am not a pinball wizard.
He knew it was much more than just a childhood game.
My brother and I grew up playing a ton of pinball. And then, of course, as we got older, we were able to buy a couple pinball machines, and that kind of started the pinball sickness. where you buy one and then you buy another and then you say you're never going to buy another one and then you buy 2 more.
So what do you do when you have a basement full of pinball machines?
Looks like rain.
And a local arcade that is going out of business?
Then you end up here with a pinball business of 31 pinball machines.
But in order to make Bill's dream of owning an arcade come true, he needed a little help. That's where Concordia professor Jeff Knight steps in.
Jeff was absolutely fantastic in allowing us to essentially relaunch Fargo Pinball. Without him, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Jeff created the logo for Fargo Pinball, but also had his class create a Kickstarter video that would help launch the Brooks Brothers business.
I think there's just something really interesting about pinball in general. It's something that's unique and something that kind of went away for a while, and now I think it's really fun to experience again as an adult. I didn't go to the old pinball club, unfortunately. I kind of missed my chance. I always wanted to go, but just never did, and so this was kind of a new opportunity and new chance to come and support Bill and his project. So,
Although memories fade and you have to let go of those games, here you can remember we are all children at heart.
We were going to do it, you know, come heck or high water. Because we wanted to get the machines out of the basement and into a place where people could come and play them who may not have the opportunity to do so. It's my basement, but at the same time, it's the community's basement. So come on in and play some pinball.
A year membership costs $45 and $20 for each additional year. For more information, you can visit their website at fargopinball.com. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at Fargo Pinball.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.